for that. Amazing people, welcome to lesson 13 of Israel and Me course. We're literally at the tail end. We have one more lesson after this. Bless you. Let's open our books. And as I said, I am super excited about this lesson. And I think that you will love it. Okay. In our previous lessons, if you guys remember, we spoke a ton about anti-Israel bias. Starting from the UN, it was like ridiculous, the bias. It almost didn't make sense. Like we were laughing and like, how could this even be? And then last week we spoke about the media bias, right? And we said that they're all part anti-Semitic. Meaning, of course, there are other parts to it. You know, there's a percentage of the UN that don't believe in freedom. I'm sure the media sometimes picks up real stories, but it seems to be way more than would make sense to have any real explanation other than hate. Today, we're going to address why does that hate exist? And also address how to differentiate between critique versus hate. Because Israel is not above critique. It's possible for a Jewish person to do something wrong, right? And be critiqued. You don't have to call that out as anti-Semitism just because they said you're wrong. So how do you know when it's not and when it is?
Hold on. Before we start, do you believe in a two-state solution?
What is that?
Do us as a class, from what we discussed, do you think it's possible to have a proper two-state solution?
It's not possible. I was talking about this in my class last night. And what LT is, or AJC says that they believe in is a two-state solution, but it's not going to happen. As you said.
It could be that they're saying the same thing. They're saying we can't close our minds from a two-state solution. We could, not from a religious or spiritual perspective. Let's say from a spiritual perspective, we want the land of Israel, but Mashiach is not here yet. We don't have to be in the entire land. So there's a place to say, if they really need this land and they're willing to, if this will make them happy, maybe there's a place. If it's going to save Jewish lives, give it. But if it's not going to help, I think of what we learned, that would be right? Would that help very much if we told them, we tell the bully, okay, you don't like my sweater, I'm going to wear a new sweater. What's going to happen?
But we've given them some of it.
We've already empowered the bully enough. We've already done it. We actually tried it. We actually already tried it. What if you weren't sure the bully's really a bully? Maybe they actually don't like your sweater, and you tried a different sweater, and the next day they again made the whole class make fun of your sweater. You know he's a bully. If you continue, you're just insane. I think that's a pretty straightforward watching history. Okay, a great question. Let's jump into okay. So let's first talk about the root of anti-Semitism before we can get to differentiate between the two. But we will. I think you're going to love it. Okay. How to differentiate between critique and real anti-Semitism. So anti-Semitism is the longest running hatred in the world in history. When did it start? Probably before the Purim story, but let's talk a little bit about the Purim story. We know the story a little bit? There's this Jew hater, his name is Haman. He actually descends originally from the Amalek people. And this guy, Amalek, are the first hater of the Jewish people. They go back to right when we left Egypt, they attacked us. Amalek. And he comes from them. And he hates us. And he goes to the king of the time. He was the vice president, the second to the king, prime minister. And he goes to Achashverosh, he was the king at the time, and he says, listen, I want to annihilate the Jewish people. I want to exterminate, I want to get rid of them. And he said, I'm going to give you 10,000 silver pieces, probably like a crazy sum of money. Like the country could, survive on this money. He was ridiculously rich, this Haman. He said, I'm going to give Achashverosh 10,000 silver pieces. Give me permission to kill the Jews. They're a nuisance. They're a small minority. It's a Hitler all over again. What did Achashverosh tell him?
No.
In the Purim story, what ends up happening?
Yes.
He says yes, very good. But then he says something more. He says, keep the money. You're doing me a favor. So we're going to talk about two types of anti-Semites, the Haman and the Achashverosh. Both anti-Semites. Neither of them are really good.
I'm mixing up Achashverosh with the good guy, with Esther's uncle.
With Esther. Or Mordecai. Very good, very good. Okay, let's see this inside. Let's open up our books to page 287, text 1.
Thank you.
287, text 1. Join me for a blessing, Denise, when you're ready. 287, text 1. And Ben, tell us what Achashverosh, 287, text 1, what Achashverosh tells Haman. We're almost at the end there.
You guys almost finished it?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Text one.
Yeah, text one. Give it to us.
Now Hosea said to Haman.
By the way,
"Keep
this is a
money-
quote from the Megillah. We're going to read this on forum.
keep
This
the money
story.
and do to the people as you see fit."
So he tells him keep the money. Okay. The question is, was this the same hate? Did Haman and Achashverosh have the same hate? Achashverosh tells him keep the money, do what you see fit. Are they the same now? What do you guys think? The same. They both want to get rid of him. Make sense, Kobe?
Yeah.
Same. So we're going to point out a difference between them, a pretty stark difference. Okay, Kobe, put it away if you don't mind, and actually close it up.
I'm sorry.
Close it up, okay?
Yeah. Just
After you send it to wherever you need to send it or post it, wherever you post it. But no, shut it. Shut it off.
It's
Kobe.
off. It's off.
Yes?
It's the ringer off.
Okay, good. Oh, ringer off. Okay, that's a good
I'm not
start.
touching it.
I want Andrew, we're moving to you. Text 2. The Talmud tells us a big difference between Haman and Achashverosh. Although Achashverosh said, I don't need your money, and go kill him, meaning you do me a favor. I want it too. What's the difference? Go for it.
So what made the actions of Achashverosh and Haman be compared?
Give it to like with a zest.
So what made the actions of Achashverosh and Haman be compared? There were two individuals. One had a mound in the middle of his field, and the other had a ditch in the middle of his field.
1 second. So what's happening? One guy has a mound, one guy has a ditch. What should they do? Right?
Yeah, maybe not.
Go for it.
The owner of the ditch said to himself, "If only I could buy that mound." And the owner of the mound said to himself, "If only I could buy that ditch so I may dispose of my mound." One day they met one another. The owner of the ditch said to the owner of the mound, "Sell me your mound." The owner of the mound replied, "I will be happy to give it to you for free."
Sounds good? The Talmud is saying anything new? Sounds normal, right? Basically, we're both interested in doing this to each other. But it should have said maybe something like, I don't know, two guys had a mound and one guy was bringing a bulldozer and he was anyways paying for it. Said, "Do you want me to do it for you too?" He said, "Yeah." Why do they say one's a mound and one's a ditch?
So one's higher, one's lower.
One's high or one's low. What's the difference between, they're both a nuisance. What's the difference between a mound and a ditch? Like a symbolic difference.
A mound's like high up, you can see it. A ditch is like low down, so it's see it.
You can't see, okay.
Like power.
One seems to represent power maybe,
It's
Okay.
a mound, there's like actually something there. and
Okay.
It's just like an empty.
a lack.
Yeah.
We're getting there. This is gonna give us like a,
A ditch,
Idea.
mound's like a surplus, a ditch is like-
exactly. Which one's an innate nuisance? Which one innately is a bad thing?
A ditch.
Which one's within the actual land? The ditch. It's inside of it. The mound is just extra. Like just a circle. So let's see this in our on our little screen, or the mound and the ditch. The mound is a nuisance. The ditch is a need. That's what it represents. The
Oh,
ditch
yeah?
is innate.
Oh,
It's inside.
Achashverosh was a nuisance. Haman was a need.
Was a need. We're going to say it in other words. The mound is an existing problem. The Jews are not like everyone else. The Jews are different. They make me a little bit weird and funny. I don't like these people. They're different than me. Maybe they're not the same culture. I wouldn't mind if you got rid of them. But the ditch guy says, no, I need to hate you. There's something inside me that says there's something wrong with you. Haman came to Achashverosh and said, I want to get rid of them. He felt it in his kishkis. Achashverosh, he said, once you mention this mound, if you can get rid of it, I wouldn't mind. Wouldn't mind. They are different. It would probably be nice in a country, right? Maybe in a little bit other words.
Wait, so
Who has
these-
an issue-
This ditch and mound references in the Torah.
It's in the Talmud.
Talmud.
The Talmud is Jewish oral law. It's all of Jewish oral teachings that were then written down in the Talmud. It's
Also,
Jewish ideas.
one more question.
Yeah.
So I was learning in theology class or something too, but there's two authors for Genesis. Is that true? There's not two authors. right?
No, God gave it to Moshe.
There's like P and J. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, not at all.
That's why I was like looking at you.
So it's like the non-Jew Jewish.
No, she's Jewish too.
Oh,
Right.
perfect.
Okay, even worse. Just to bring out this point a little bit better, who wouldn't mind if the Jew wasn't a nuisance? And who, even if the Jew wasn't a nuisance, is bothered by the Jew?
The ditch.
What if the ditch didn't exist? Or the ditch wasn't bothering him? It wasn't high.
It doesn't
It doesn't matter. It's like, because he's a ditch. But the guy that has the innate need, even if they're not different, there's no reason for it. It just because. I hate you because inside. It's almost like the ditch has the ground itself. What's the ditch made of? The ground itself. Not something additional that you could then quantify and say, this is it. If you get rid of this, I'm good. Can you argue with the mound guy and explain why the mound could be good? You could. You can argue with the mound. Can you argue with the ditch guy? What are you talking about? He wasn't giving you an explanation for why he doesn't like you. He just feels it doesn't like you.
There's something like wrong there. Still.
Yeah. Reb Chaim Brisker, we didn't live so long ago, he gave an example for this. He said, there's a difference between the two enemies of the mouse, the cat and the old lady. The cat, if the mouse wasn't annoying, wasn't dirty, wasn't scary, the cat's still gonna hate the mouse, still gonna chase the mouse. If for the old lady, there's a technical issue with this mouse. If the mouse wasn't, if the nuisance of the mouse wasn't here, the mouse happened to be cute, or happened to not be here, she doesn't mind the mouse. She's not looking for a mouse.
Pretty much what you're trying to say is that, like Haman and Achashverosh, Haman was like, I need to kill them, and I hate them, they're a nuisance. And then Achashverosh was like, you know what? I've never had the necessity to kill them, but you know what? They're annoying, so just kill them anyway.
So I feel like Ahasuerus actually had not good, but
A reason.
a reason, an actual legitimate reason to kill the Jews, and Ahasuerus just had like some feeling, like no reason, but just some feeling.
Haman.
Like a serial killer.
The second one, like a serial killer. Exactly. Even if it wasn't a legitimate reason, at least there was some reason. At least there was a motive there. That is, it's a clear difference also if you find the story. After the Jews sort of prove themselves, Achashverosh moves on. He's okay with the Jews. There was a reason. He hated us, but he had something at least. There's someone to talk to. Haman, he was Amalek. A Jew is here, he's looking to get rid of him. Okay.
What is Haman? He's like
Haman, I'm using the word Amalek, we're going to learn about him in a moment. Haman hates us with no reason.
he's the ditch.
Is there someone to talk to when you talk to Haman? Nothing, right? Let's use an example. Would they rather, let's relate anti-Semitism to Israel, that Israel not have the flaws that they point out in Israel? Or would they rather that Israel has the flaws so that they can point them out and destroy Israel? Which one is which? And someone that's not anti-Semitic but actually is sees real flaws, they'd rather that they don't have the flaws. Make sense, Kobe? But an anti-Semitic, what would they rather?
They rather just like have flaws so they can kill them.
They can kill them. Because they're not really bothered by the flaws. They're bothered by them, the people. It still doesn't explain why it exists. Doesn't explain where it comes from. We didn't get there at all. But at least let's define it a little bit. Oh yes, really good.
Unexplainable hatred.
Yeah. Okay, let's first open up our sitters. Can everyone grab a book? Grab a book real quick and open up, please, to page 64. Kobe, Andrew, 64. You'll see a paragraph that says the 6 remembrances. This is a paragraph that's not in the traditional, the actual morning prayers. It's right after the morning prayers. I say it every day. 84. You see 84? See 6 remembrances?
Oh,
Yes.
84?
84. And there are 6 things that the Torah tells us to always remember. They're obviously pretty important.
84.
84. You got it? 6 things that the Torah says you have to always remember. You can look in the English because it's helpful. Right at the bottom. You see the 6 remembrances, the bottom of 84. Now turn to 85, which is the first of 85, which is the third of the 6 remembrances. You see that? What does it say there? 85 at the top. Was it not clear? Page 84.
Everything on page.
85 is favorite travelers.
Okay.
No, 85 at the top.
I didn't know.
English. Remember the
Oh.
Amalek. This is something that we say every single day. Jewish people are always remembering, or I should say, trying to forget, trying to blot out Amalek. There's this nation. It's a really old nation, many, many years ago, that we encountered for the first time when I'll take the question in a minute. When we came out of Egypt, they attacked us. We weren't attacking them. They just attacked us. And Haman is actually a direct descendant from this nation. People call Hitler the modern day Amalek, even though he didn't actually descend from him necessarily. We don't see a connection. If you Google it, it'll be like, no, but he definitely represents that. And in Jewish life, this is like the worst of our enemies. Are we like short of enemies? Do we have like just a few? No. But there's just one. It's got to be different than the others, right?
One might have a reason.
It's got to be something really different. Ben is hitting it right on the head. Let's put our sitters down. We can close them up, I mean. So what's the unique thing here? Let's read this in text 4. What's unique about Amalek? Denise, can you give us text 4? Sorry, we'll let you go. give us text 4. This is from the Abarbanel, one of the classic commentators on the Torah.
Torah?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's on the actual Torah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
explains the Torah. Abarbanel. You'll see even a lot of printed in a lot of Torah books. Go for it.
Why did God single out Amalek from all other nations to punish them so harshly?
Like the question on the board is, why is Amalek singled out from the big list of Jew haters? Why are they different? Go for it.
To obliterate them. Typically, when a nation wages war against another, it is either to defend their territory or to capture their enemy's land. However, Amalek waged war without any rationale. Their war was only for the sake of their evil heart and intention, to return the Jews to the state of slavery and to desecrate the glory of God who redeemed them.
See the difference? And this is like a big difference, a big change. The practical difference would be which guy could be reasoned with? Which guy is there someone to talk to? Create a 2-stage solution. It's something we want to talk to you. Someone that has a man. Someone for religious reasons hates us, which basically means hates us just because there's no one to talk to. Okay. By the way, I just want to make this practical real quick because we all, I think we can relate to it. I definitely can. There are some people that are annoying to us for a reason. And some people are annoying to us for no reason at all. We just don't like them. And even if we find a specific reason, that's just finding, almost like making us feel like we're allowed to hate them. But we don't want them not to have that reason, because if the next day they walk in with the cool sweater, we still find something else that makes them feel annoying to us. Do you guys relate to that?
Yeah.
Almost like insights like, your very existence bothers me. Sorry, I'm not using it. Your very existence, but almost like the fact that you're here takes up too much space for me to be here too. It's a real thing. It exists by every, even good people. And to start differentiating and realizing, hey, 1 second, I'm making an excuse why I don't like them because, I don't know, because I know, usually I've seen this at a bully. They say like, oh, he told the teacher on me, so now I can hate him. No, you hate him. And therefore you're looking for a reason to tell that, oh, because he told the teacher. Your reason, oh, look at his annoying hairstyle. Like, how does that even make sense? Think of yourself like, what's going on? No, I have an innate hate. I have to work on that. I remember feeling that towards a friend who I decided I'm going to start copying them. Because then at least I could stop. And I realized, because it was bothering me that why was I bothered by this guy? He just had similar talents to me. And I felt like almost struggling to be in the same class as him. I was always very, whatever it was, very artsy. And he was also very artsy. He had the magic tricks that I had. And I was like, I felt like almost like he was in my picking up space competition. And that was making me find like weird things about him and try to tell people not nice things about him. And I was like, 1 second, this is like really bad. This is just like innate hate. So I tried to copy him. It didn't work. It was actually really interesting. You have a question?
Do you think it's the same to hate one person and like a whole group of people? Because like I don't know how to word this the right way, but like you're saying that it's bad to hate one person because you're picking like certain things about them to not like. But like if you're hating on one person, like there's a specific reason, but like a whole group of people, like stereotyping, like what do you think is the difference?
So
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
I don't think in our personal lives that's so relevant, so prevalent. I mean, unless you were brought up with a hate, but then it's almost like it's nurture. It's almost like it's embedded. It's like a religious thing, which is religion is the most amazing thing Hashem gave us, but it also could be used in the wrong way. Something powerful the more powerful it is, the more bad it could be. Right?
Yeah.
Atomic energy is the greatest energy we have. But look what it can do. So it's in similar way. Usually that comes in that way. It's not just like a natural innate.
Yeah.
Kobe told me no. Okay. Going forward now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So where is this letter? Let's open up text 5, peoples. We're going to start getting into the why, but just a little bit. Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah, wait, 1 second. You can read, but let's take a question because Ben was waiting.
That prayer in the book,
Yeah.
that prayer every time you travel, you're supposed to say that prayer.
The one on the bottom, which we didn't read.
Oh, not the one about the Amalek?
No.
Oh.
That's only when you travel far away, like on a plane
Oh, yeah.
or outside of like a town where there's no like many miles of highway. You say that prayer. That bottom prayer, not the Amalek one. The Amalek one is a daily remembrance.
Oh, we did it daily?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That important.
Yeah, that's important. It's that important. Because we always have that. Yeah, sure. You're gonna miss the next piece, but listen, you gotta go. You gotta. No, it's the right thing. Hashem wants you to go. It says in Torah, you gotta go. No, I'm serious. The only thing that God wants. Okay. Give us text 5. We're gonna start getting into a little bit of the anti-Semitism reason, but we're gonna get to it much further. Let's dig deep.
My
Go for it.
brother wanted to read, so he can go first, not go next. He said he wanted to read. Go.
The true
Go for it.
reason for their hatred of the Jewish people is because they are different. And people just blame it on various reasons. Where Jews are wealthy, they are hated for their wealth. Where they are impoverished, they are hated for their poverty, etc.
This is an excerpt of a letter that the Rebbe wrote to someone, probably explaining this concept. Let's see a quick clip on this idea. Sorry. Oh, this is about the other thing. Is it because I don't like that specific thing,
Yeah.
or because in general? Let's see this quick clip. Hope the volume is not too high.
Oh, I hate this video.
You know it?
I've seen it before.
No, this is not that.
Would never have Semitism has returned. Historically, anti-Semitism has been hard to define because it expresses itself in such contradictory ways. Because they were communists and because they were capitalists, because they kept to themselves and because they infiltrated everywhere. So what is anti-Semitism? It's a prejudice that, like a virus, has survived over time by mutating. So in the Middle Ages, Jews were persecuted because of their religion. In the 19th and 20th centuries, they were reviled because of their race. Today, Jews are attacked because of the existence of their nation state, Israel. The hate that begins with Jews never ends with Jews. Anti-Semitism is the world's most reliable early warning sign of a major threat to freedom, humanity, and the dignity of difference. It matters to all of us.
Okay, so
I thought this was a
yeah,
I
that's
wrote that down on my notes, but
yeah.
anti-Semitism is a virus. It's actually really like,
it's really
I
good.
want to agree that much.
Okay, so the question, based on what we just said, what can we do to make anti-Semites love you more?
Nothing.
Nothing. And it should be very important because people have made the mistake countless times, Jewish people. If only we didn't show that we're different than them, if only we didn't do whatever it is that makes them dislike us, then they're suddenly going to love us. And all it did is, it just, like the bully, it just made us conform to whatever it is that that current excuse was, but absolutely did not make any difference. The not religious Jew and the religious Jew and everything in between was hated by Hitler exactly the same. I thought, well, we're going to look exactly like the German society. We're going to be exactly like them. He's got a ditch. It's innate. He has an excuse. So that's like it's just like a way to tell the world, or to tell himself, because he doesn't know why the innate thing is, so he makes an excuse, right? If you have an innate something, you also have usually a layer, a conscious layer of why you're doing that subconscious thing. Okay. This is I actually had the story in Hebrew school where a parent was very upset that we were singing "I'm a Jew and I'm proud" in Hebrew school. Like upset, because they once came into the assembly, and that was before we used to sing, yes, I'm a Jew, a proud one, too. That was like we sing "I'm a Jew and I'm proud" by the assembly. This was the days before we had weekly assemblies, and the parent was really upset. They ended up pulling their kid, and thank God now the family's back with us. But at the time, she said that's what makes anti-Semitism. And makes anti-Semitism is actually, that doesn't exist. You can't make anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is a hatred that doesn't make sense.
Are you supposed to be ashamed of being a Jew?
It was like, it didn't, no, she was saying, when you describe it and say it clearly, we're proud to be Jewish, it's going to create more anti-Semitism. You can't create
It's already
anti-Semitism.
there.
If someone has it, it's already there. But it seems what you're saying is correct. If you see someone and they tell you why Jews feel like they're different and superior, and that's why we hate them. So yeah, you're going to try to conform. Why doesn't the bully like the kid? There's always a reason, right? Because his glasses look so weird.
No.
But it's just a bully. Today, if you can change the glasses, you are like the worst of, you obviously don't know what a bully is. Same thing with this. There's nothing you can do. Don't stop singing "I'm a Jew and I'm proud." If you blame yourself for Jew, which is what she was doing, she's blaming Jews for Jew hatred. It's like literally like the kid comes home from school, tells the mom the bully's bullying me, and the mom tells him that she's a bully now. That's because of us. No, we just switch it to the song of I'm a Jew, just because it's a cooler.
No,
song.
why haven't we sung that in a while?
Which one?
It's I'm a Jew kind of one too.
No, we do it whenever we get together. We just don't do assembly so often. But this is our theme song.
Mhm.
Jewish pride. Yeah, this is, I think, what the Rebbe, one of the Rebbe's big mottos, that Jews, that not only we don't survive, we thrive. We're never we're still here. That's not a thing. Everybody didn't say we're still here post-Holocaust. We're not still here. We're the only here. We're leading the pack. Never do we become just like, survivors. The concept that Jews are survivors is a post-war syndrome that many Jewish communities took on, but really it should be, we happen to be survivors, but that's not what we are. That's not our definition. If that's our definition, then we're not, we're like vacuum, that's here to be a vacuum. Yeah, that's what no way. We're not survivors. We're the leaders of the world. It happens to be that the leaders sometimes get bashed and we came back up stronger.
Is
Can we
it
get
true that people don't believe the Holocaust ever happened?
It's definitely true. I don't know if people don't,
Like,
I mean, people
why?
try to, you could create anything. Do you know, is there a war in Ukraine?
Yeah.
How do you know? Social media news. So what if social media news told you that the Holocaust didn't happen? You know the same thing. It's impossible. We spoke about last week about the news that's the way we know what's going on. The news, if the news is not telling us the truth, so then there's no truth.
Yeah.
Right? If
Everything's
everyone could be a lie, then there's no law. You can't have a court if everyone's allowed to lie, right? There's no court.
Mhm.
We can agree that there's no court. We should all just steal and kill, but that's not what any of us want. So similarly, if the news could make up stories, it's like the worst of the worst, and yet it's like every day.
There are people who believe like
Pretty
the
bad.
earth is flat.
Exactly.
So,
How
like,
do we know that the
between
earth is
that-
not flat, by the way? You
because
don't
we
know.
have-
Because you believe other people.
well, we have videos from space.
That could completely be made up. Easy.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying that I think it's not. I think it is. What I mean to say is that
Yeah,
we
I
should
was
know that almost everything is based on trust. Almost everything we know is based on trust.
Yeah.
And if you can't trust, there goes all the knowledge.
Because there's certain things that we can't see live.
You have a question? It's good.
No, I've always just been wondering, like Judaism, we base, I don't know, this is super random, but Judaism, we base like creation off of like the creation of the world first and then the universe kind of with the world. But I don't know, I just like, but I always like think about separate things while I'm learning something else.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. And I'm happy to address it also. Maybe not now, but I would love to address it. Okay.
I can't hear you. Say it louder. No, say it louder.
But you probably have ADHD.
Maybe. My wife was telling me something like, you're always running around. I'm like, only ADHD people get things done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, let's go to our second idea here. We didn't address the why. We mainly addressed the what. That it is without a reason. It's more like the ditch than the mound. Okay, let's get into the why. Actually, there's two steps here. We're first going to more in depth identify the what. We're not going to get to the why yet. Andrew, welcome back. We're going to be identifying. We have two steps here. Okay, we said what it is. Now we're going to identify how we know it is when it is. Meaning to say, how do you know this is a ditch versus a mound? How do you know? How do you know the guy is an anti-Semite versus or expressing anti-Semitism versus actually seeing a flaw? And then we're going to get to the what in our third part of phases. Okay, so let's start with this. Everyone grab one of these glasses, and I'm going to play a short clip, and you're going to try to watch it with and without the glasses. You ready for this guy? Okay, here we go. Let's see if it's going to work.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, actually, this is before that idea. This is like what Jews do when they blame themselves for anti-Semitism. It's as if this would happen. 8 Saudi men die in a plane accident. This is what goes on in Israeli news all the time. It sounds ridiculous, but it's like completely what goes on. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we get this. We'll watch it with. Without. This is the
That's what a roller coaster feels like.
What was the difference between when you had them on or not, or did you not try the other way?
Oh, I didn't,
I
I
didn't
didn't
Have them
try.
off, it's like,
It's
you can
clearer.
see the lines like the red and blue.
And when it's on,
And so
It
it
still
all,
is
it all
bad.
merges together. So
Yeah. When it's what it's supposed to do is that when it's on, it's supposed to look clear. If it didn't really work, that's fine too.
It looks
When you're wearing
clear.
3D glasses, it's supposed to remove that blur of the blue and red and create a one.
It's like the 3D glasses never work.
I don't think.
The
mine
3D
will.
glasses don't work, but that's fine. Okay.
That's like the 80s when they have it. With
There's a famous refusenik. I mean, someone during communism that refused the government. His name is Nathan Sharansky. If you Google him, you'll find him all over the place. And he leads a movement to study anti-Semitism. And this Nathan Sharansky came up with the 3D view of anti-Semitism. He said, when you look at anti-Semitism, well, he wanted to basically figure out how do you know what is anti-Semitism versus a real flaw, a real reason. He said, you need a 3D view, right? Just like here, when you have 3D view, it clarifies it. What are the 3Ds? So he said it's in your book here on page something or another: demonization, double standard, and delegitimization. And they're really smart. He actually there's a reason why he studied it. I mean, he actually came with something cool. Okay, and it's going to all lead back to our first message, but it's going to make it crystal clear. Let's start with text 7a. Denise, did you read it? Did you read it? I think you did. Aria, 7a, go for it.
Okay. The first D is the test of
Demonization. It means making them look like they're a demon, they're subhuman. Go for it.
Demonization. When the Jewish state is being demonized, when Israel's actions are blown out of all sensible proportion, when comparisons are made between Israelis and Nazis and between Palestinian refugee camps and Auschwitz, this is anti-Semitism, not legitimate criticism of Israel.
Let's understand the reason behind it. Why is demonization more like the ditch? Because demonization attacks the person, not what they're doing.
Oh, it's just what you are is bad.
What you are is bad. Could a monster do the right thing? A monster, the word monster means a guy that does a bad person who does bad. So once you give a monster, you're creating a space for hate is fine, everything you do is bad. Correct? It's the same theme of which one is it, the ditch or the hole or the mound? The ditch or the mound?
Oh, the ditch.
It's the ditch. Okay, let's see a quick clip.
You
quick
don't
clip
say your actions are demons.
that defines this. You don't say your actions are demons. No.
Yeah.
A demon is a person. Andrew, we need you back. I apologize.
Attributing an evil intention to the Israelis as though whatever they do is not for security reasons, it is because they want to torture, abuse. There can be thousands of rockets that come into Israel, and then Israel responds. They only look at the response.
I don't think it's acceptable criticism of Israel when Israel becomes villainized, when Israel becomes the big bad devil.
You see these pamphlets that depict Jews with hooked noses
You know what that is,
and
right?
sucking children's blood, and I think
Yeah.
that is classic anti-Semitism.
Bibi Netanyahu.
Most grotesque of all, and unfortunately quite common, including on campuses, is the comparison with Nazi Germany, the ultimate scandalous inversion of our time. So repulsive and yet commonplace.
Students for Justice in Palestine hold an event called Israel Apartheid Week, where they lie about Israel for a week in a way that demonizes the state of Israel.
The Nakba was a campaign of genocidal ethnic cleansing initiated by the Israeli regime to carve out their own colonial entity in the Middle East.
Okay, terrible. You guys get it. This, even if they're trying to say a reason why there's something wrong, to demonize someone by definition is showing that you are a mound, you have a mound, not a hill. Following?
Yeah.
Makes sense? And this is something that he did through research, but we're learning about this together. The second D is 7B. This time, Ben, did you read it today?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's go again. 7B, give it to us. The second D.
The second D is the test of double standards. When the criticism of Israel is applied selectively, when Israel is singled out by the United Nations for human rights abuses, while the behavior of known and major abusers such as China, Iran, Cuba, and Syria is ignored, when Israel, Magen David Adom, along among the world's ambulance services, is denied a mission to the International Red Cross.
Okay, double standard. Whether that existed,
Yeah.
I guess it did. Double standard by definition means, double standard means that they're viewing you different than others, which really says, because I'm trying to get you, I'm not actually looking for the truth. What do you have over here? This is actually written by a Palestinian. This is a quote from a Palestinian, which we actually read much of his speech in the previous lesson, where he says, "Where is your urgent session on Syria or Lebanon's treatment of Palestinians?" Within Palestinians themselves, they have an issue with one country versus another. The whole lesson on UN is clearly a double standard, which shows that whoever is behind those critiques are not really critiquing, because if they're critiquing the issue, then they should have issue with others that have the same issue. Clearly, it's not the issue, it's the person, or in this case, the peoples. Let's go on to the third and final one of the Ds, the 3D. Andrew, this one's for you.
Yeah.
Again, with your own.
This got enough page 295.
It's 294, text 9.
The third D is the test of delegitimization. When Israel's fundamental right to exist is denied alone among all peoples in the world, this too is anti-Semitism.
They're not looking to change it. They're not looking to limit it. They're not looking to tell you to change yourself. They're just looking for you not to be. That's exactly what the dish. That's the definition of a dish, right? It's almost like you're too clear. Let's see this in a video. It's going to help you identify when you see people that what's their chant versus Israel. It's a chant about that Israel shouldn't exist, versus that Israel should be changed. So it's actually saying, I'm a dish. I hate you for you. Let's see. You ready with this, Toby? So far, so okay?
What? Yeah.
So far, so okay. I'm trying to read your expressions.
I think.
With delegitimization,
Okay, good.
Israel's very founding is questioned. And if Israel is illegal, here to defend themselves.
Israel is a settler colonial project that does not have the right to exist. The Zionist state of Israel in and of itself is a crime against humanity.
They're not saying, let's have these borders. They're saying, let's have all of Israel gone. Israel has no right to exist.
What it essentially means is that from the river, meaning the Jordan River, to the sea, meaning the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine will be free, meaning all of Israel, as it currently exists, will be dissolved, and in its place will be a Palestinian state.
Two-state solution is off the table. No, one state. And check this out. One state, majority rules. Us, the Muslims.
In focusing so much on the Palestinians' right of self-determination, which I totally believe in, people completely forget about the Jewish right of self-determination.
If you are an anti-Zionist, what you are essentially saying is that the Jews have no right to live with sovereign rights in their historical homeland.
It's not your homeland. Y'all came from Europe. It's not your homeland.
Y'all came from Europe.
Y'all came from Europe.
Oh,
Love
Lord.
it. Okay, guys, anyone know what BDS stands for? BDS?
It's the
You could find it here probably somewhere. Boycott, disinvestment, and sanctions. And it's a movement that's growing on campuses more and more, going around the world, basically to boycott Israel, not invest in Israel, and put sanctions on Israel to limit what they do. What's the purpose of it? At least the purpose that they claim, because Israel is doing bad things, and the only way we can fight them is by boycott, basically hurting them financially. Right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like I know that we had Israel first, the Jews, but where is it coming from that Palestinians think it's very good? Like where in history did that mix up?
Okay, I'm gonna answer this question, but we don't want to go back. We can't come back to the whole lesson,
Oh, yeah, this
the
is
whole
why-
course. No, one second. Let me just answer the
Before,
question real
before
quick. Let me just answer a little bit of the question quick. Jewish people always exist in Israel.
Yeah.
So we were a minority before the state of Israel was established.
Yeah.
In Israel, we did come mainly from Europe,
Yeah.
but we always were looking to come back to our land.
Yeah.
Throughout all of history. In addition, the UN and the government of Israel, before we became a state, officially gave the land to the Jewish people.
Okay.
So both from a historic perspective and from a current
And God
perspective,
gave
it's ours.
We
So that's
originally
from a
came
legal
from
perspective.
being like
But the
petty.
fact is that during the time that we got the state, there were two peoples living in that place, and they were not getting along. Which it has to make sense. There has to be a beginning and end to the story. The beginning of the story is that people were not getting along. The UN tried to create two states so that both peoples could try to, remember that?
Palestine was a thing, right?
Yeah, well, they weren't called Palestine. There's a place for the Arabs, a place for the Jews, all within Palestine, which was the entire country was called Palestine, and Palestinians. It's a name of the country, not the people's.
Pretty much. most
And
of
they
West
didn't want that. They wanted the whole space.
They had the whole West Bank. And they wanted it.
Correct.
It's called boycott,
Disinvestment
disinvestment.
and sanctions. It's got to be in your book somewhere.
Oh, you're boycotting, you're not investing in it.
You, exactly, your sanctions. What did America do to Russia when Russia, besides for sending besides for sending weapons to Ukraine, helping Ukraine? BDS. They told Russia, you got to stop what you're doing. We're going to stop investing in you, stop helping you, boycotts, etc. That is a legitimate way to fight a country that's doing the wrong thing. So BDS movement comes across as pretty all right, right? That's the standard approach. The issue is, let's watch this clip and you'll tell me if you think BDS actually. Okay, you ready for this? We're going to watch actually some of the founders of BDS and what their approach to Israel is.
Is BDS still Israel?
Israel's BDS movement is against Israel. It's an anti-Israel. And they come across as a progressive movement. We're trying to fight for rights. That's what they come across. They look really good. And they're huge. They're really, really powerful. I should say they try to be powerful. Baruch Hashem, they're not gaining that much steam, but they're on campus a lot. Let's see it. Watch this.
Investment sanctions movement really started out in the early 2000s with the head of the movement being Omar Barghouti and Ali Abdullah.
Definitely.
Until Zionist state of Israel acts, we will continue to struggle against apartheid.
No Palestinian, rational Palestinian, not a sellout Palestinian, will ever accept a Jewish state in Palestine.
This is something that is not acknowledged on campuses. Students, they aren't aware of the aim of the BDS movement. And Norman put in kind words and stated this as well.
We have to be honest, and I loathe the disingenuousness. They don't want Israel.
You'll never hear the supporters of the BDS movement advocating for a two-state solution. They're not trying to use boycotts and sanctions in order to try to create peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. They're trying to do these things to demonize Israel and to get rid of it.
That's what it's really about. You know, then at least be honest what you want. We want to abolish Israel, and this is our strategy for doing it.
So you're going to hear about BDS a ton. When it comes up, you can just know that it comes across as very progressive and almost like there's a reason for it. To know what it actually is. It's an anti-Semitic movement to destroy, annihilate, get rid of, whether it's to kill the Jews or not, to get rid of us being in that space, period. Not that we should be nicer, not that we should give a space to the Arabs.
A fancy curtain over what they're trying to do.
Correct. Let's read text 10, which is from one of the co-founders of BDS. Yes, go for it, Andrew.
The real aim of BDS is to bring down the state of Israel. Justice and freedom for Palestinians are incompatible with the existence of the state of Israel.
So now I know BDS is. Let's see how it applies on campuses. All of us will be college campus, God willing.
Fine, I walk around in my t-shirts say Israel on them. I walk around with a Jewish star. I have friends that walk around in kippot, and it's fine. No one's going to attack you on the street. No one's going to start yelling at you in the middle of campus. It's only when there are times with high pressure, like during this divestment vote, students are definitely intimidated and just very offensive towards the program.
The campus was voting if the campus should divest, should not invest in Israel, probably not use their products, stuff like that.
Israel students who spoke at the meeting. Pro-Israel students faced threats. Students were also called dirty Jews, things like this, especially those on central student government were called on the phone saying, we know where you live, like vote with us or else.
All these disparaging insults accompanied by threats of violence, messages that I and other members of central student government have been receiving this past week.
To say that this is a non-violent, peaceful movement, I would seriously disagree, especially with the number of emails and harassing texts and harassing voicemails and harassing calls that have caused me to miss class for a week.
Ultimately, the vote was to reject the resolution. And for now, things are calm, but we definitely expect BDS to be back again. And we don't think that this is over.
Okay. Just another good talking point related to BDS. If Israel suffers financially, so the Palestinians suffer more. There are more Palestinians that work in Israel than work in Gaza, right? That's where the Arabs live near Israel. There are more Gazans that work in Israel than work in Gaza. there are more people, many more people in Gaza that are supported by Israel than by Gaza itself. So if Israel suffers, God forbid, Gaza, the Palestinians suffer themselves. Just a good talking point because it actually talks to even people that their whole view is just focused on the other side. Real quick, let's run through this, guys. Which D is this one? Demonization. Very good. Which D is this one? Yeah, guys, come on, let's join this. Very good. How about this one? That says it.
What do you know about it?
Double standard. It's just showing that every country has walls for
Really?
Demonization.
right. I mean, you see this, you think like it's probably just saying again. No, it's delegitimizing. It's a definition. You can't be right. You can't do the right thing. You're just bad. Okay. Remember Ben and Jerry stopped selling in Jerusalem in a certain area of Israel because they wanted to make a statement. So this is a quick interview with them. I'm going to take this 2 minutes and then we're going to go to our final section.
Big proponent of voting rights, bans. Why are you still going there?
This is Ben and Jerry. These are them.
I mean, it's
Jewish,
it's an interesting question. I don't know what that would accomplish.
You become embarrassed.
I don't know. I think you ask a really good question, and I think I'd have to sit down and think about it for a bit.
Yeah,
Every woman who lives.
I'm gonna skip it. But isn't it great?
Why? They were opposed to abortion. Like, they want.
Yeah, they use their power
Yeah,
to
so
oppose
they-
the different things. They're trying to make the world a better place. That's when they see Israel doing this thing. They say, yeah.
They're like pro-choice. So she was asking, like, if you're, why are you still selling Georgia?
Next sentence is, if you put it that way, we can't sell anywhere in the world. He's gonna find something. But anyway, okay.
So they're Jewish.
Ben and Jerry are Jewish. Yes, they're self-blaming, self-hating Jews. It's the same idea. They're trying to say, like, if you see something that looks like a flaw in yourself, so you give in to the bully. You say, oh, we have to change it. If we're not changing it, then it's us. We have to figure out ourselves.
Other than the mound,
It's actually really hard.
It's like self.
There's a concept called self-hating Jews.
Well,
It's important for us
I
to-
feel like the mound, but like
They're also
they don't really know what the reason is, but they don't have like an utter.
I want to say something else. I think that throughout history we see Jewish people who are born to accomplish, not just accomplish, make the world a good place, an okay place, but to bring Hashem in the world. If you're not doing that purpose, your soul is lacking something much bigger. There's a much bigger hole than your average non-Jew. And therefore, you almost like you're looking for something to change. We're the proponents for change. We've probably started all the worst movements and all the best movements in the world. Right? Marx is the Jew. Karl Marx is a Jew. We're pretty bad in that way because we have that very, very deep, huge hole if we're not accomplishing
His
it.
mother wasn't a Jew. Who? Karl Marx.
Karl Marx?
Mhm. His father was a Jew and he converted.
Okay, I have to look it up. I take it back.
No, I just
I'll figure it
learned
out.
about him.
Okay,
that's
cool.
why.
Then I don't know for sure that he was. I think that Jewish people, when they're feeling that lax, they want to change the world. So that will drive them to do wacky stuff, including to crush themselves. We're doing something wrong. It is the bully versus the bullied style. I feel like something that I have to change. Okay, let's go into now. What is anti-Semitism? What's the explanation for this phenomena? Why does it exist? And I think that this is going to be the big clincher. But let's do it together. We're taking 15 minutes for this. That's how much time we have. So let's try to focus specifically on this and not go out of it because it is limited time and I want to cover it all. Okay. So if people hate us, but not because of a flaw in us, they innately hate us. How does that even start? Like, how could that be? And how could it be passed on? You know what I mean? How could it and so innate, so deep? So let's start with Rashi. Rashi is the #1 commentator on the Torah, on the Bible. He's printed in every single Torah book. And he tells us the following about a verse that says, God haters. 296, text 12. Ben, tell us what Rashi says in regards to God haters, those that hate God. What does it say?
God haters, this refers to Jew haters who For he who hates the Jews hates the creator of the world.
That makes sense? Why? You hate Jews, you don't hate the creator. You hate Jews.
The Jews are made by the creator.
Okay, but that's
The creator.
that could be hate for anyone. He seems to explain the hatred. A simple explanation is going to be brought from Maimonides. I want to come back to you, Andrew, because you have that certain oomph that I want to get for this text 13. Rambam is going to give us a basic explanation. Go for it.
Ever since the time that God made us special with his commandments and laws, the nations have become very jealous of our faith in their kings. Therefore, they rose up to instigate against us with animosity and hatred. They desire to wage war against God and to fight against him.
So he explains, why is it against God? Because it's really against what God gave us. Okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you hate God, meaning you hate the people that got a gift from God or something like that. That's what he's explaining. But it's a little bit of a stretch. We're going to give a deeper, much deeper message here related to the mound and the ditch. Yeah, when we get to the next text. Okay, the next text is going to be, I need you to really pay attention to this, okay? The next text is going to tell us that the mound and the ditch are two sides of the same coin, okay? The mound is the external expression of the ditch, which is the inner cause. But it's really two sides of the same coin, and we're ready to get this idea. Let's start with text 14. And this is a quote from a talk of the Rebbe. Rebbe, I think, is the coolest teacher in the world. That's because he's my teacher and I love it. So let's read a little bit.
One had a mound in his field.
He's actually quoting the Talmud, right?
Yeah. One had a mound in his field. For this person, the very fact that the Jew exists in the world is like a mound. In the world he presumes to own as his own field, he cries, "What is the Jew doing here?" In the words of Midrash, Esau complains.
Esau, who represents the non-Jews,
Esau complained to Yaakov,
who represents the Jews,
"What are you doing in this world?" Not because the mound disturbs him in any particular way, but only because this is his field and there's a strange alien item in it.
it's almost like he's uncomfortable because you're so different than me. So 1 second, is that a specific reason? If you see a mound that's just different than you, it's like, 1 second, what's he doing in my field? And you get rid of him. So it is a mound, meaning it is a specific thing that's bothering me, but that thing is innate to him, right? The Jew innately is different than me, and therefore I don't want him here. It's not a ditch. It's not something in me. It's something in him.
It's like nativism. It's like
it is. We have experienced that. It's like you're just different than me. You're a different type, a different culture, and therefore, by definition,
like
you can't be.
Like there was a nativist movement where like only Americans wanted to be in America, didn't want foreigners or immigrants.
So it has a very similar. It's a good example.
Thinking of Americans, that makes sound like Native Americans.
No, but not something.
Okay, but no, I like it. So basically, he has a reason, but it's innate in the existence of the Jew.
Works too.
Okay.
Kobe.
Okay. The question is, what can we do about that? Is there something we can do about that?
No, it's a hate.
It's just a hate, even though it's a hate for something about us, but it's us. That's what's about us. 16a is going to tell it us. The Rebbe continues. Denise, take it away. Continuation of the same talk.
There is nothing to do about this. Even if the Jew were to compromise all his personal affairs, give up all his possessions, and turn himself into his total slave in work, so long as he does not cease to exist, his very existence is a dagger in his eyes.
You ever see someone? You ever see someone that's happy and you say, "Why are you so happy?
I get that all the time.
Why are you so happy?" It's almost like the fact that they're happy. Like, so just be happy yourself. Why are you bothered? I'm happy. It's almost like, no, I can't have what you have, so I don't want you to have it either.
Jealousy and competition.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that example for sure is that. But it's like, it's almost like, go away. You're a different type of person than me. I can't have what you have because you seem.
Day for walking towards happy. Like, why are you happy?
Well, you have exactly, but it's something that's almost like a person. It's like, I never feel as like easygoing as you, so I don't want you here. You have something that I don't have, and bothers me. The Rebbe talks about this a little bit. He talks about the ditch as someone. Okay, so 1 second. The mound is someone that sees the Jew as different, and by definition is different than me, and therefore I want him out. Like, what are you doing in my land? This is like just for Americans. This is just for regular people, not for you. The ditch guy has a little bit of a different tweak. He has the real reason why the mound feels different. Because he feels a ditch. He feels a hole. He feels not happy. He feels not content. And he sees this person walking around a Jew looks happy. He looks like he's okay. He looks like he's got purpose. He's like, why can't I have what you have? But instead of saying, and therefore I'm going to learn from you and grow from you, he says, so therefore if I get rid of you, I won't feel the void so much. If no one around me is happy, what happens? I'm okay. But if you're happy, suddenly, 1 second, why don't I have what you have? Right? It's like someone's jealous. The guy doesn't have it either, so that I don't feel different. That's what kids do all the time.
So it's like you're saying, like, because it's like, let me give you an example, like a poor person and a wealthy person. Like the wealthy person has all the money in the world, and the poor person obviously hates that person because they're wealthy. And they're like, if you didn't have that wealthy, be on the same level as me, and everybody would just be happy.
Right. Everyone will be happy. Why is that happy? You have nothing more. But there's such a thing. There's such a nature. But I want to talk about it from an emotional perspective, which is much harder to define. That says, I see this person, he seems to have something that I have, whether it's spirituality or a feeling of purpose, and I can't get that from you. So what do? I'd rather that you don't have it. And because of that, what do? Your existence bothers me. Meaning to say, the inner cause is I feel like you have something I don't have. I feel a hole. We call it the ditch. And therefore, I create a mound out of you. I say, your existence bothers me. You just seem different than me. What's wrong with different? So then I'll help you get better. No. You're making me feel a void. You're hurting me. I want to get rid of you. Okay. Let's read this in 16b. Who are we up to?
I think
Kobe, go for it.
16b.
This is a continuation of the Rebbe's talk. The other had a ditch in his field.
The other addition is here. The non-Jew sense is that he has a hole, a certain void. In the moment that the Jews receive the Torah of life, the non-Jew feels a certain emptiness.
Someone else has so much direction and clarity in life. 1 second. Yeah.
Without a doubt, the non-Jew possesses a way to fill this void, namely by elevating himself to a greater state. But he negates that option because he's not willing to expend the effort. He therefore has another option of how to get rid of himself of this empty feeling. Let us both not have it.
Oh, this smart. And it really, you really see it. And by the way, that goes back to, remember that first quote we gave of Rashi? Who hates God? Jew haters. Because what are they seeing in a Jew? They're seeing a purpose. They're seeing that the Jew represents the Creator. He said, if I can't be in your place, so then I'd rather you don't have it.
It's not empty.
By the way, are there non-Jews that respect Jews, want to learn from them? A ton. Probably a majority, for sure, in today's world. And probably throughout all of history, there were non-Jews, respected Jews, wanted to be around Jews, wanted to learn from them. That's what it should be. Hashem made a people that are there to lead the rest to be more fulfilled. But it's much easier to just say, I'd rather you don't have it either. So then I could go and live my life the way I did, the emptiness that I had.
It's not like there's no emptiness in the chest if there's no chest.
Right. Correct. There's no emptiness. If there's no purpose, if purpose doesn't exist, then I can't be lacking.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good example. Yeah. Okay. Second. Here's a me. Where is this? Oh, okay. So this is that first one. Who is this guy? Somehow, the Jew somehow irks him. He doesn't even know why. That's the mound guy. You irk me. But what irks me? You. Because we're different. Something about you. You're different. You irk me. You bother me. Something inside. Okay, this is the video of someone I could have. I could have read it, but instead I'm just going to watch.
Does that have to be how we're like dressed and stuff? How like Jews wear like?
I think that no, people are gonna use different examples of differences, but ultimately we like to say that the inner reason for that mound is the ditch, is that they feel that we have something that they don't have in terms of meaning, purpose, direction, contentment, happiness. These are all pieces.
How do
of the
they
same.
know that we have that?
You could see it on the person right away. You could see it even when someone's just happy.
I don't like you.
Okay, let's see this quick. Clip 1400. Lower this and jump to. Bear with me, okay? 14. Here we go. This dude, he's a world-class speaker, but here he's giving a class. I don't know if he speaks so well, but definitely the message is really cool. He's gonna say this idea. Oh man.
With guilt.com. What is it? When somebody says, what's a Jew if he doesn't feel it's a conscience? That one of our times. He said, a reason, because the Jewish people.
Let's do it.
It's an existential chritz. It's not a chritz, you know, I'm hungry, I'm tired. You go to sleep, you know? Huh? It's eating you up inside. There's an emptiness, there's a chritz. And the chritz is caused by one reason, because the Jewish people. The Gemara says, Sinai, Shayardal of Sinalol Messiah. The Jewish people introduced into the world, and you know who said this best? The Haman of our times. He said, he explained. I read this. He said, the reason he hates the Jewish people says they gave the world a conscience. A conscience. What's a conscience? That's a conscience, yeah? A conscience means I have a void if I don't live up to my conscience. We call it guilty conscience, jewishguilt.com. What is it? When somebody says, what's a Jew? If he doesn't feel guilty, he blames himself. It's very hard to live with that thing. I could do one of two things. I could either fill it by living up to that conscience, or what's the other option? The other option is kill the messenger. Get rid of the cause of that ditch. If there's no Jew in the world, there's nobody to remind you that there's a living God. If there's no living God, there's no moral law. If there's no moral law, there's no limits to power. If there's no limits to power, the Übermensch, the barbarian, rules the universe. As Himmler said, us two races cannot both coexist on our planet. It's either the Jews or it's the Aryan race. This chritz ate up on Haman or Russia, because from the moment.
Okay. I think you made a good point. Yeah, he's passionate. He does a good job with that. How do I get this back to full screen? Here we go. Okay. So this conscience that he was talking about, and I actually found the clip from Hitler Yimach, and I don't like to play him on the screen. Yimach means his name should be obliterated. I don't like to play him on the screen, so I made him a little bit smaller. But just for you to see, it's almost impossible to believe that someone would say that the issue with the people is that they're moral and ethical. We're going to watch him say it. It's going to shock you, but it's real. Okay. What is conscience?
He's admitting that that's what we're doing.
Is that? But he wasn't saying it was shame. He actually that was really our fault. What is conscience? Hashem gave us conscience. It's one of the greatest gifts to humanity. It's what stops you from doing all the bad stuff. It tells you that if you're not going to do this right thing, you're going to feel shameful. You're not going to like yourself. You feel that you have a purpose. You're really better than that. Don't hurt that person. You're better than that. Don't do that immoral thing. You're better than that. It's an amazing human quality. But if you just want to, I just want to do what I want. I just want to do the thing that's selfish. What do? You try to close that. You try to push down the conscience. But if you see someone that you respect that has it, what do? It like eats at you, right? That's what happens. Sometimes you're in someone's presence and suddenly you feel inferior. It does it.
Also, Hitler would just watch whatever he wants. That's why he says he doesn't want to make.
The way this guy described it yesterday, the way we watched this class, he was saying that you can't have a leader can't just a barbaric leader that says I have the power, I never do what I want. Can't. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. He won't be able to do what he wants if there's consciousness. If he knows that there's equality.
Someone prevented him. That's why I took him out.
Take him out.
Or it's like spreading false lies. Right?
Yeah. By the way, I love this line. I'm going to tell it to you. You'll figure out yourself. A lie exists. Does a lie exist?
Yeah.
A truth exists. Does a lie exist?
No, a lie is.
A lie exists in the people that believe it.
No. Nice.
Very deep. Very deep. Okay.
Yes.
If you're following this, it's very good.
Who said that?
Very wise.
I heard it from my uncle, actually.
Oh, really?
My uncle is a speaker also. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna watch this clip. It's hard to believe, but you'll see it, you'll believe it. I made it smaller for that reason.
Much more.
David Lloyd George,
Isn't that-
British Prime Minister. Of all the extreme fanaticism which plays havoc in man's nature, there is not one as irrational as anti-Semitism. There is no greater example of this than the evil of one man who projected his own failings and those of his followers on the Jews, and that was Adolf Hitler.
Saying that I should be the greatest liberator of humanity. I am freeing man from a false vision called conscience and morality. The Ten Commandments have lost their validity. Conscience is a Jewish invention. It is a blemish. The heaviest blow which struck humanity was Christianity. Bolshevism is Christianity's illegitimate child. Both are the inventions of the Jew. The struggle for world domination is between me and the Jews.
I understand a little bit because the Yiddish, German is similar to Yiddish, and I speak Yiddish. They bring a quote here of that, text 18b. I'm not gonna read it because it's just a quote of what we just watched. What is it? Sorry, I missed you.
No, I think that's a real video.
It's a real video. Yeah, okay. He's a passionate speaker. The reason why he's able to do that. I mean, I don't want to say the word of it, but he has, definitely Hashem gave him certain gifts. Okay.
Why do we say that we should destroy his name? God made everybody have a purpose.
It's interesting that there's one nation in the Torah that Hashem said has to be destroyed. Obviously, there's a concept of someone that's so corrupt. Amalek.
Yeah.
They were a corrupt nation. They stood for corruption. They stood for immoral living. That was that. Yeah, by definition. They came out to attack us, not because they wanted our land. We were in a desert. Because our existence is exactly this thing. It's exactly this thing, but it's biblical times. We read it in the Torah. So for all of time, that type of living, we can actually destroy people because we don't know who they are or whatever. It's not. But the idea is there forever. The concept of absolute hate for morality is a bad thing by definition. You can't change that. You can't correct it. If your goal in life is not to be moral, that's a really bad end.
But I'm saying is that like everybody has a purpose. Is a purpose? Does that mean good or bad?
Interesting. It could be that a purpose is the challenge.
The challenge of the purpose.
Right.
But obviously,
it's a good question. Yimach Shemo. Yimach means to obliterate. Shemo means to.
So does Torah say that he did have a purpose, but not a good one?
My guess is that he had free choice originally, and that maybe part of his purpose was to challenge others to live up to their purpose. They fail.
Shemo means Hitler.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
The short of the answer is I don't know.
Is that your dad question?
It's a good question for my dad. Yeah. Yeah. Shemo means his name. The word Shemo means his name.
His name.
His name.
Oh, great effort.
To separate from God, from God, we say, whenever someone mentions God's name, we say Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo. You ever hear that in the shul?
Yeah.
Someone says a blessing, say Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo. Blessed is he and blessed is his name. That's what we say about God. Okay. We have one more point because it's already 7:15. We have to finish this. The question is, how do we get rid of this? How do we deal with anti-Semitism? Give up our morals and values. Then it will be okay. So the question is, there's two issues with this. One is probably not a good thing to give up morals and values. It doesn't really make sense, just the words and funny that make you smile. And second is, when you give up your morals and values, but you have a soul, you can't give it up. He hated Jews, not Jews that believed in Judaism. He's just an example of all of history. You see a Jew, he says that issue. The existence of Judaism Jews are a miracle. They represent that there's a God, which means creator, which means purpose. We by definition, there's nothing you could do about it. So besides it's not the right thing to do, there's nothing you can do about it either. You might as well live it up. Celebrate. The teacher comes into the classroom. Imagine the teacher that does this, comes to the class and says, okay, what should we do now? For a moment, maybe the kids are gonna be like, yeah, dude, you're awesome. But then the teacher's gonna roll their eyes, the kids are gonna roll their eyes and say, you're just a faker. You have something up your sleeve. That's not what you are. But if a teacher comes in with a prepared lesson that's interesting, that's engaging, what happens? Yeah, there are a few troublemakers that say, I'm not interested in learning, that hate the teacher, that want to destroy the class. But most kids, especially if it's engaging, respect him. They want to learn from him. This is gonna get nowhere. You're a teacher by definition. That's what you are, right? In the words of Rabbi Jacobson, who we just watched, text 19. Let's come back to Ben. Text 19, guys, our final text for today.
When the Jews deny this holiness, when the Jew embarrassed by his Judaism tells the world, I am just like you, the non-Jews.
Sense is a lie. Go for it.
And a secret conspiracy. The world will forever dislike Jews who dislike themselves.
A ton of, I look like a Jew pretty clearly, right? Much more often, I get complimented for being Jewish. A random guy in the train will say, I so respect the Jewish people. Much less often, I'll get hate.
Have you gotten?
Sure.
Really?
Rocks, words, all the time, right here on Shore Road, all the time. I shouldn't say every day, at least a few times a year.
Enforced?
Yeah, someone driving back. No, rocks I got in England. The real deal. I spent 3 years in England. I
Were you
got the
okay?
real deal. What?
Were you okay?
Yeah. Well, it didn't hit me.
What happened to Baba?
I'm here. That's no.
And Dad.
But much more often, and completely random places. I'm on a plane. I'm on a train. The conductor will come over and give me this whole thing how he
Wait, hold on.
respects Jews.
That's amazing, obviously, but for Shore Road, what would they say to you?
Everything.
People on Shore Road?
They
Oh, yeah,
like drive in the
In
cars and be
Fort
like dirty
Washington?
Jew.
Yeah. Driving by, it's the easiest thing because you're driving, so you don't have to.
You never see
Dirty
it again.
Jew.
Yeah. Sure.
When was the most recent time that happened?
I don't remember. But it's so normal. I wouldn't even remember the next day. Remember for maybe 2 minutes. Hello? It's like the kid in the class that makes fun of the teacher. So the teacher should become a kid in the class.
I saw this.
I'm the teacher. I'm so proud of being the teacher. I'm so sorry. I'm really proud of it. Okay. Let's just last video. Then we could talk for the rest of the night. Last video.
Wait, when is this going?
This is it. We're over now. I'll
Oh,
find a video.
okay.
Ever be embarrassed about being a Jew. Our people has survived so long and contributed so much that you should see being Jewish as an honor and a responsibility. Some people look down on Jews, they always have. In which case we have to walk tall so that to see our face, they're forced to look up. Never compromise your principles because of others. Don't compromise on keeping kosher or any other Jewish practice because you happen to find yourself among non-Jews or non-religious Jews. Non-Jews respect Jews who respect Judaism, and they're embarrassed by Jews who are embarrassed by Judaism. Never look down on others. Never think that being Jewish means looking down on Gentiles. It doesn't.
Okay. Our key points for today. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's do our key points, right? Let's run around and go for it. First one. On the screen.
Some people dislike Jews or Israel because of legitimate or perceived flaws.
Denise?
Many others have an underlying animosity and need to hate Jews. The reasons are just mixed.
Andrew?
Like a mutating virus, anti-Semitism changes its
Guys,
but the underlying sickness is the same.
There is nothing you can change about yourself to pacify the true anti-Semite.
Ben, nice.
Victim blaming is wrong for the victim and is also enables the perpetrator.
You can go, by the way. I'm not holding you. If you need to go. 6, Denise.
We can
All right, we're done in
determine
3 seconds.
Legitimate and illegitimate criticisms of Israel by checking for demonization, double standard, and delegitimization.
Those are actually cool ideas. I wasn't adept at the lesson, but it's still cool to see. And 7,
The Jewish people have historically opened up a void in society by exposing the meaninglessness and dissatisfaction with the material world alone and introducing morals and higher purpose.
just like very, very, very powerful to us. Okay.
We must not shy away from, rather embrace our role and strive to live an exemplary life. Non-Jews respect Jews who respect Jews.
And I know it firsthand. Okay. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Yeah, please
Yes, very
stop it.
There was a video I saw and it said like something along the lines of words don't have